As a journalist, because I know you don't do the I think some people may. Thank you. Right after we announced that we were analyzing, reviewing the Vermont site, there was a big meeting in the mayor's office. It may be 3 days after the announcement. At that meeting, with a dozen organizations from the Koreatown area, I looked them in the eye and I said this, the very first meeting: if you have another site that's in this part of town that is owned by the city, then I will look at that site as well. So it was not a big decision for me to adjust the site, because the very first time when I sat in a meeting with Korean leaders, I indicated that our main goal was to get people off the street that are in the northern portion of the district. And if there is another location that you feel is better, that can make this accommodation, that I'm open to that. And after I said that, the mayor came back, because it was me, the mayor, and Mr. Rue sitting next to each other. The mayor came back and said the exact same thing. So for me, it was not a big decision. I think it was the right decision, because I think that what we did, we somehow stumbled upon there's nothing's perfect, but we stumbled upon the best location.
Okay, I see.
But it was not, I don't know who says, thinks that it was hard for me to change my mind or whatever. When I indicated the very first meeting, I was open if I got a good site. Well, what I do hear is that the Korean Prime Minister is a rising star. No, I have heard that not just here, but I hear nothing but positive things. The way this thing worked is that the mayor came up with the idea of the Bridge Home program. The mayor, working with the council, set aside a budget so that we would be able to afford to create these bridge home facilities. It was the responsibility of the individual council people to select the location and come up with a process to find the location. By the time the mayor had his conversation with the prime minister, we were already working to move the location.
Okay.
When he went on his trip, I had a lot of meetings with the individuals in that area. Across the street is Lafayette Park. We got a request from an organization called OLA, which stands for Heart of LA, asking us to look further east, telling us that they had concerns in that area. So by that time, I had already had conversations with our rec and park, because this site has a tennis court. I wanted to see if I could move the tennis court. So I was already laying the groundwork to try to see if I could build a consensus around the Wilshire Hoover location. I don't think that I was misunderstood. I think some people may have misunderstood the issue, and there was not a lot of information, sketchy information. And I think had we done a better job in laying out exactly what was going to occur, that it would not have been that bad. Well, the article was a phenomenal article.
Right.
They got good research. They talked to people. And ultimately, that's where we're going to be. That's when I first began to say, wait a minute, we do have an issue. I have always believed that if individuals have mental problems or mental issues, that the best way to serve them is to try to create a monitored environment for them to live in. So I think it's safer to have them in an environment where they're receiving services than having them on the streets. I agree with you. This is a very, very complex issue. And I think the city of LA is going to do a much better job in dealing with this issue because of the debate that we had in Koreatown. And let me explain to you why. Because of concerns for safety, we are now working on a plan to provide Los Angeles Police Department security at not just the Koreatown location, but all of the locations. And I don't know if that would have occurred if it wasn't for the conversation with the Korean community. Also at that location, recommended to me by the Korean community, we're going to be creating advisory committees that are going to work directly with the Bridge Home projects so that they will know exactly what's going on and help monitor how they're working and what other things could be done to make them work better. If we didn't have, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think at the end of the day, because of this debate, we're going to wind up, even though I got gray hair, we're going to wind up with better monitoring, better community input, and better security. And I don't think that would have occurred if it wasn't for this back and forth between my office and the Korean community. Those concerns are legitimate concerns. There are going to be staff that are trained in mental health issues 24 hours a day. We're going to have support from Los Angeles Police Department for the whole day. We're going to have 24-hour security within the location. First of all, the riots were devastating. I was here and lived through it, and that's not something that you would wish on anybody. Where it relates to redistricting, we had over 26 hearings in the city of Los Angeles, 3 or 4 of which were in the Koreatown area. Everybody was afforded the opportunity to give their opinion as to how the city should reshape itself. So I thought the redistricting process was fair. NIMBYism is everywhere. It's in the valley. It's on the west side. It's on the east side. It's on the south side. But that percentage of people is a small percentage of people. But it's everywhere. The reason why we came to a conclusion on this issue is not because of NIMBYism. It's because the people recognized that we had a problem with homelessness and they came together. I think this is a perfect example, as long as there's communication, that resolution to an issue can take place. I would not and would stand up on the highest mountain and defend the Korean community because I do not believe it was NIMBYism. There's a percentage of NIMBYism there. There's a percentage of NIMBYism here, there, everywhere. The majority, if it wasn't for the majority of people working together to find a solution, we wouldn't have found one. No, I disagree with that. The reason the numbers drove us there, like I said, when you look at the article that was written and it identified, I want to say approximately 400 people living on the street. So that's why we decided to go there. It was not because of people being marginalized. Like I said, I have a long history and a great working relationship with the Koreatown community and many, many friends. Not too long ago, my mother passed away. My mother was my best girl. I was devastated. If it weren't for my friends in the Korean community, I didn't go to work for a month. I didn't go to work for 30 days. I've never told anybody this. But they would, you got to go out. You got a job to do. You have to move forward. They loved me. I loved them. So I would not pick on that community ever. But there are some people that might say that because it was convenient for them. It was the numbers. Numbers identified, like I said, in this paper, numbers that were identified by LASA. So we knew we had a problem there. And if we don't try to fix this problem, you know what's going to happen? It's going to get worse. So that's why it was selected. And like I said, I have friends that have been with me since 1987. That's like 32 years or something. It's got to be a success. And the only way that it's going to be a success is if we, the people, make it a success. So I have a variety of ideas as to things that the community can do. The first thing is once we get final approval, I will create an advisory committee. There will be individuals appointed to this committee from the Korean community so that they can actually be engaged in how it's operating and make recommendations as to how it could be better. I envision one of the things that you have to do with individuals that have been on the street, you have to connect with them and try to help them remember what it was like to live a semi-normal life. So I would hope that every other month we could do something like all of us go and we have dinner together that we sponsor. I would hope that we could maybe every couple of months have what I will refer to as a mobile store, where we would go there and the people that live at the Bridge Home facility can get socks, can get underwear, can get a pair of shoes. I would hope that we would have laundry night, where maybe we as a community would help by ensuring that we launder their clothes so that they're clean. I think the most important thing that we can do is let the people know that we give a damn. And the way that you do that is by having contact. So it's with us, the people who are blessed, the people who can go home every night and sleep in their bed, coming to a group of people who are unfortunate, who are ill, who have had problems, and us showing them that we care. And I'm telling you this, I know the Korean community is going to step up to the plate because they always do. You go to most of or many of the churches in the area that are Korean churches, they always have feeding programs, they have blanket programs, they give a darn. They will do everything in their power to make sure that this place succeeds, because now the majority of people are in agreement with the location. So they will do their part. I have no doubts. Being in this country my whole life, born as an African American, I have unique and different challenges than people who are not African Americans. And even though I have been able to mainstream, to be elected to a very diverse district, I am still proud of who I am, but I program with people of different races and people from different countries. That's primarily the same thing that the Korean community has been doing. They keep their identity, but they are businessmen and elected officials and firemen and police and business owners and construction owners, they're proud of their heritage and where they're from, but they're also proud of the fact that they are Americans as well, or that their children are Americans. So there's a way to make this country great, but still celebrate who you are and where you come from. I don't view that as a problem. And I would think the Korean community is a perfect example of a community that is beginning to master that. You know, when I first started being a public servant in 1987, you saw a smaller circle that the Korean community worked in. That circle is now like this. Because in order to succeed, you have to interface with people from different areas, different beliefs, different religions. And so the Korean community is growing in leaps and bounds in the right direction. Is it challenging? Yeah. But can it be done? Without a doubt. Latinos, African Americans, Japanese, Chinese, people from other Russians, everybody has to figure out how to do that. All of us monitor or all of us make adjustments. All of us. I don't live in a area where there are just people that look like me. Okay? When I go out to run for a political office, I have to appeal to everyone. And it may be somewhat challenging, but what makes this country great is our diversity. And that we have people with so many different backgrounds. That's worth fighting for. Why do you think so many people want to come here? And I believe that. The county of Los Angeles, this is a partnership with the city will provide the land and the building, and then the county will come in and provide the operator. And we're not there yet, and I have no idea. At this point, I have 2 years of work left to do. I'm focused on doing as much as I can for this district for the next 2 years. I have not selected anybody that I support at this time. I have a lot of faith in the residents of CD10, and they will pick the person that touches them the most. No, was it challenging? Yes. In my business, leadership is about taking people places where they don't want to go. In the beginning, there were a lot of people that didn't even understand or want to understand homelessness. Now, because we had this conversation, there is a desire, a hunger to understand it more. Why? Because they want to help. So I feel proud to be part of moving that conversation along. Government is about doing the difficult things. Anybody can go out and give away plaques and certificates, but not everybody can take a community that has concerns about building a shelter to deal with the biggest crisis of our day, homelessness, and then get 90+% of the people being supportive of it. This was great. This was great. It was tough, yes, but my job is tough. Whoever takes my place is tough. It's more than just waving and shaking hands. It's about getting things done. I want to thank them for being engaged. That they need to take advantage of this situation and grow and expand it so that they can ensure that they have a say in the future where it relates to any kind of city issue that affects not just Koreatown, but the city of Los Angeles. They need to spend some time studying how this government works. Because as they went through this process, and the more they learned, the more effective they got, the more articulate their arguments were, and they gave suggestions that were off the chain, that were good suggestions. So I'd like to see more engagement, more involvement, because they are a real asset. The recommendations and the ideas that they came up with, unbelievable. So if you have these gifts, you should share them. And I would like to see more sharing. I'm proud of where, like I said, since 1987 I've been here. I have watched this community grow and become more effective. For me, even though this was a tough process, I was very, very proud. Very proud.